There's this crazy story at the beginning of the Bible. We have Adam and Eve, and they're in the Garden of Eden, and everything in this garden is great.
It's exactly as it should be, except there's this one tree that they're told by God not to eat from because it's dangerous and it will kill them.
So that's it? Avoid this fruit tree and we're fine?
Right, it seems pretty simple, but in this garden there's a snake. It starts telling a different story. It says that if you eat of this tree, it's not going to kill you. In fact, it's going to make you become like God.
Adam and Eve believe the snake, and they eat the fruit.
Because of this, the goodness of the garden is tragically lost. Evil and death enter into God's good world.
Now, why is there a talking snake in the garden? This thing is a problem.
Yeah, it's very strange. Even more strange is the fact that the Bible doesn't say why or how this thing even got there. It just presents the snake as this creature who's in rebellion against God and wants to get other people to doubt God's goodness and lead them on a path towards death. Whatever this snake is, it's the source of evil that pervades our world and our lives even still today.
But there is some hope, because right here in the story, God makes this really interesting promise to Adam and Eve.
Someone is going to come in the future, a son of Eve. This guy is going to come and he's going to crush the serpent's head and destroy evil at its source. However, during this battle, the serpent is going to bite this guy's heel.
It's like mutual destruction.
Yeah, it's a very strange but beautiful promise. It's just left hanging there until the next key moment in the story when God singles out this guy named Abraham. He says through his family, goodness and blessing is going to be restored back to all nations of the world. As we follow this family, we get to one of Abraham's great-grandsons, this guy named Judah. He receives this promise that a king is going to come from his line and that the whole world is going to follow this king. He's going to bring peace and harmony. There will be lots of food and wine and milk and vineyards, and it's going to be awesome.
The first king that we meet from the line of Judah is a guy named King David. He's a hero. Maybe he's the snake crusher.
But it turns out that David is infected with the same evil as the rest of humanity. He never crushes the snake, but just the opposite. However, God makes a promise to David that this king is going to eventually come from his line. But as you go on in the story, one by one, each generation of his sons, they're total chumps. They give in to the snake. They choose evil. They go after money and sex and power and following other gods.
Things get so bad, they run the nation of Israel right into the ground. The big bad empire of Babylon just takes them out.
Now there are no more kings to even fulfill this promise.
It seems like the whole plan is lost.
During these dark days, there's this crazy group of guys called prophets. They just keep talking about this coming king and reminding us of the promise that he'll come and he'll defeat evil. He'll restore the garden. One specific prophet, Isaiah, tells us more about why this king is bitten. Isaiah says that the promised king receives this wound because of humanity's evil and that it kills him. But then all of a sudden, he comes back. Isaiah says that because he suffered this wound, he can now become a source of healing to other people.
But the Old Testament ends, and the snake-crushing king that everybody has been talking about never shows up.
This is why when the New Testament begins, it introduces us to Jesus of Nazareth, not as some random guy, but someone who comes to fulfill these specific ancient promises.
We learn that he's from the line of David, Judah, and Abraham.
He goes around Israel announcing that the goodness of God's kingdom is here now. He begins confronting the effects of evil on people by healing them and by forgiving them of their sins and evil.
Many people are now believing that this is, in fact, the promised king.
Jesus began telling his closest followers that he was going to become king and bring peace by taking the full effect of humanity's evil into himself.
The fatal snakebite wound?
Exactly, and so it seems like the serpent wins. This story actually would be a tragedy, except for what happens next. Jesus rises from the dead.
Now Jesus has the power over evil and death for himself.
The rest of the New Testament is them making this claim that Jesus' power over evil and death has now become available to us to begin confronting the effects of evil in our own lives.
But even still, death and evil are real problems in our world. all around us.
The story of the Bible ends by describing this future day when Jesus comes back and he finishes the job. He destroys the snake once and for all, and it restores the goodness of the garden here on earth.
Thanks for watching these thematic videos. We want to see the Word of God reach this and future generations. Our mission at Streetlights is to help people understand the Bible for themselves. We're able to give away for free everything we make because of generous people like you all around the world. You can see all of our resources, our Streetlights Audio Bible, these videos, and more at streetlightsbible.com.